All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RafiChowdhury.com, where we share away all of our secrets for marketing, content marketing, funnels, Facebook ads, just about everything you can imagine. PR, making you the go-to person in your industry is pretty much what our goal is, and this is what we do best. And in today's presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about visual content marketing and how I've been able to leverage it in my business and how I've done, content marketing for the past 6 years. And we're going to talk a little bit about the specific strategies that have worked for me that you guys can also implement to your business. And believe me, if when I say this, that content marketing is one of the best ways really to be able to build a tribe, and to build a an audience, like a loyal, engaged audience around your brand. Yes, you're gonna sell them something ultimately. Yes, you will monetize all of this at some point. But if you're not out there every day helping out your audience, educating them, you will ultimately just become one of those guys that just sells products and pitches and sells and sells and sells and sells, but never delivers any kind of free content, free value to anybody. And certainly it'll be a lot harder for you to be taken as an industry or a go-to expert in your industry. So let's get started. All right. So how I built my business using visual content marketing, especially in 2018, I do want to be transparent and let you know that I didn't start my business this year. I actually started out in business about 6 years ago, back in 2013. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it's been 5 years at least, and going on 6 pretty soon. And over the years, obviously, I've done a ton of work in branding and in growing my own brand, and I've done it primarily through content marketing. Even my websites today, I don't spend a single dollar on AdWords or anything like that. I get free traffic to my sites simply because of the content that I published over the years. Social media, I am recently starting to spend more and more on ads, but however, so far to build out my entire social media following, I have not, spent any money at all, and it's been purely done through networking, building relationships, and content. So in this presentation, you're going to kind of learn some of these tactics that has worked for me, and mainly the point here is to figure out how can you use content to drive targeted leads to your business. So content strategy, obviously there's creating the content, there's research involved, there's measuring how well it's doing, there's the promotion aspect, there's the publishing aspect of it, and then there's content optimization and content updating. So by now, if you're on the internet, if you're a marketer and you are doing stuff and you're out there and you're hustling and you're trying to figure it out, you obviously know that content is definitely the way to stand out, and you just simply can't afford to not create content and to sell anything on the internet. So one of the things that we tend to forget when we think about content is that it doesn't have to be just blog posts, right? Blog posts is an amazing way to get traffic to your website. It's an amazing form of content, but it is just one form of content. There are so many other ways you can get your word out there. You can create Facebook Live, you can create YouTube videos, you can create presentations just like this. Who would have thought PowerPoint slides, presentation videos would be a form of content, right? But it is a very popular form of content today. You can set up a small, like I do, and in my house, I just have a small setup in my room. I have a whiteboard, I have a video camera, and I have just some, I just write on there, and I teach whatever I'm learning on a daily basis just by creating a very small, short 15-20 minute video of whatever topic that I just recently learned, and I just teach that to people. So just getting your expertise out there on paper and pencil on the internet is the best thing you can do, because ultimately people want to learn what you've already done. People want to learn what's working for you in your business. People want to learn what they can do to implement the same things. And trust me, you know a ton of stuff, as an expert, as someone who's, kind of has their finger on the pulse of that niche, of that industry. You know a ton of things that most people just don't know. And it's almost like in psychology, we call it the Dunning-Kruger effect, meaning Dunning and Kruger did this study where they looked to see like, what's the best way if you're a beginner, what's the best way that you can learn? Well, you would think that, okay, a beginner must be paired with someone with 10 years of expertise who is absolutely the best in the industry that needs to learn that. That's a great way to think about it. But ultimately, what they saw in their study is that when you pair up a beginner with a complete absolute master, there's this disconnect that happens because the beginner doesn't really understand the depth of knowledge the expert has, and the expert has a really hard time teaching the complete beginner because the concepts that are almost subconscious and automatic for the expert, um, he doesn't understand why the beginner doesn't understand it. So like, if you're thinking about like teaching someone how to ride a bike, right? If you're an expert bike rider, it's going to be very hard for you to teach them concepts like, hey, you got to actually keep your balance like this. So there's this concept of keeping your balance, right? It's going to be very tricky for them to explain it to them. Whereas a beginner might need to be explained in detail. What does it mean to keep a balance on this? And so that's not a really good example, but think about like, let's use another example, like basketball. All right. So I play a lot of basketball, but I would be considered a very beginner basketball player. Now, imagine if I was taking lessons with Michael Jordan in basketball, and Michael Jordan, my problem, let's just say, is that when I shoot the ball, I look at like, I look at, I don't know, I look at the ceiling or something. I don't really follow the ball to the basket. I don't really look at the rim. Michael Jordan might be trying everything he can to teach me that, hey, when you shoot the basketball, you gotta, straighten out your elbow, tuck your elbows in. You have to flick your wrist. You have to point your fingers down. Your leg work, you must have your feet tilted slightly to the left and bend your knees and jump on the shot and have a follow through, all this kind of stuff. But he may completely overlook the fact that, hey, the trick to having a really good shot in basketball may be that you need to focus on the front of the rim before you're about to shoot it. And then once you release the ball, maybe you need to, have a really good arc and you need to follow the basketball. So switching your eyesight from the rim to the basketball and into the net. This is a fairly complex concept, and Michael Jordan may subconsciously do this every time he shoots, but that doesn't mean Rafi is going to know how to do the same thing unless he's explained that. So instead of having Michael Jordan teach me, how about picking the best rec center shooter out there and having him teach me, and he may be much more able to relate to that issue of not being able to look. So he may be able to tell me, hey man, one thing that helps me is to look at the basketball as it's going in the air into the net and following the basketball into the net. That may help increase your accuracy. Michael Jordan wouldn't think to teach that to me necessarily because he's so much of an expert. He does it subconsciously. He doesn't even think about it like a concept, but someone who just went past my level may be able to catch that. Okay. So this example, again, long story short, basically is me telling you that you need to think about different types of content. And when you think about content, you have to understand that the basic things that you know about your business, most people out there don't know it. So teach it to them, even if it seems obvious to you. What does your customer look for? With advancement in technology and digitization of everything, people need variety. And sometimes that can make them think or do things differently. Most of my clients, again, it's content marketing that makes a huge difference for them and as well as it for me as well. And so everybody knows that they need to make content. You know it, I know it, and we all agree that content is the way to go. But how do you know what to create content about? How do you make the impact? Like when it comes to the actual impact that you make, how do you know that something that you're creating will actually resonate with your audience? So there's obviously blogging, there's Facebook ads, there's Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube videos, and these are all social media platforms, and every business out there is using them. But how do you get your message to stand out from these people? How do you make sure that your message among all these messages out there isn't getting drowned and not getting heard, and it's actually crafted in a way that resonates with that particular audience? And finally, what is it that's going to make them come back to you again and again and again? Yes, they see your message. Yes, they bought something from you, but how do you keep creating and delivering messages in a way that makes them want to keep coming back to you for more and more and more? And this is kind of what I'm planning on teaching in this video. And the first step above all of this is you need to do your research. And for me, my background in research and analysis came several years ago when I picked up the game of chess. At the age of 13, I was bored sitting at home and I had no clue what to do. I hated video games and I used to play with animals and stuff like that back overseas. But then I realized, here in the US, there's not a whole lot of that. So one day I got bored and I was like, you know what? There's this cool game on my computer called chess. Let me start playing this thing. So I looked up the rules and I started playing my computer and I got into chess. But over the years, chess has helped me tremendously in figuring out how to think about business and how to think about psychology behind business, right? Ultimately in chess, there's good moves, there's bad moves, there's okay moves, but there are those moves that are psychologically very, very put a lot of pressure on the opponent, but they may not necessarily be the best moves out there. There are certain moves that are very persuasive and get your opponent to fall for your trap, but there are so many holes in your trap they can get out of, and if they get out of it, it doesn't even work. However, the psychology behind the move is so strong that people end up completely, missing some obvious things. They fall for a trap and they don't know how to get out of it, and they end up losing the game. So that's one thing I learned from chess that I started applying to business as well, is that as long as your message is strong, as long as you get them to kind of listen to what you have to say, there could be lots of errors in how you send that message across to people and how you think about it. But as long as, again, it's persuasive and you're delivering clear messages to people, they're going to overlook the faults. So like I said, I love chess and I always use the tricks and things that I've learned in chess to, apply them to my business. And I try to stand out from my competitors. And that's exactly what you have to do as a chess player also, is that you need to somehow be a couple of steps ahead of how your opponent is calculating the same exact variation on the board. And it's the same thing when you're competing against someone else. You and them are doing the same thing, but you got to be a couple of steps ahead and be a little bit more creative, so your customer, your ideal customer, goes to you and not to your competitor. I'm not saying you have to become a chess player, but I am saying that chess is a really good game that you can follow, that you can model after to build your business as well. So make your sales funnel and focus on content. So what is a sales funnel? Ultimately, sales funnel is nothing more than a journey, a customer journey that your customer takes from the moment that they hear about your name or see some sort of message of your brand for the first time until you've sold them on the highest ticket item that you possibly can sell them on. Some people may refer to this as a value ladder model. There's all sorts of names for it, but ultimately it's basically a set of steps that your client, your target audience, would take from the moment they interact with you for the first time until the last time that you interact with that person and they do business with you. And my idea, that what I'm trying to teach in this lesson, is how can content be the center point of all of this? So as you know, every brand is unique, and if you're not unique, you need to be. Even if you're copying someone else's idea, you still need to be unique in some way, shape, or form if you want a long-term strategy for your brand. And in order for your customers to be interested in your products and services, you'll need to be focused on your sales funnels, as it holds the key to better content marketing strategy. So content without some sort of a funnel ultimately will lead you into creating tons of content, tons of stuff out there, but no one's going to want to buy something from you. So you need a strategy for everything. Marketing needs to be unique, whether you're talking to the your local neighborhood market, you're going out there and you're going to your local Toastmasters club and pitching something, or you're trying to get the customers all the way across the world to buy something from you. It needs to be somehow unique. It needs to get their attention. So, of course, the most important thing, again, like I said before all of this, is research. Unless you do your research with content marketing, you won't be able to figure out what's going to actually resonate with your audience. And you have to be willing to test different things. You can't just be doing the same thing and just keep reaching more and more people thinking somebody out there is going to respond to it. Just have a very small set of audiences that you test something with, maybe 10 people, maybe 100 people, maybe 1,000 people. You target your actual number of people that you're going to test with will depend based on what you're trying to actually achieve and what kind of business you're in. But try something. If you reach out to 100 people and everybody gave you the same exact response or no one responded, well, guess what? Reaching out to 1 million people may not change your results in any way. So you need to try something else. Your customers, again, a lot of times are millennials. Today, I think a lot of businesses are targeting millennials, like people like that are in the age between like, something like 20 to like maybe in their 40s. And these guys will only buy your product or service if it makes sense to them. So the old school way of just kind of pitching and sales, just not working as well. So plan effectively, and they're gonna keep coming back to you over and over, and will forever be a lifelong customer of yours. So I have several videos out there on how to tell a great story. And if you haven't watched those videos, please go take your time to watch the videos on storytelling. Using your content to smoothly guide your customers through your business cycle. Don't drive content like a motorboat, but instead let it make impact on a daily and on a weekly and on a monthly basis. You need to keep updating your content, not to bore your customers. So what all of this means basically is that you need to tell a story. Okay, your story needs to be some sort of a journey. So, like I said, that's why it's so important for you to share with everybody what you're learning on a daily basis as you go through your business. Because that way, your story is a lot easier told because it's your actual story. Like you learned something today, share with them. It needs to be sent to them in sort of like a drip content format where each day you drop a nugget of value. The next day you drop something else. Next week you drop something else, but it needs to be in some sort of a timeline format. If your story doesn't have a beginning and an end, you just randomly throwing stuff out there, it's going to be a lot harder for you to really target to your audience, and they're not going to really understand your overall brand message and what you're trying to convince them of. For social media ads, something that I'm not quite exactly the 100% biggest expert guru on, so I don't really talk much about it yet, but pretty soon I'm going to be focusing a lot more on paid ads. I've always been a very organic marketing type of guy. That's kind of how I built my business as well. But social ads is something that you almost have to do today if you really want to get yourself out there. Everything is becoming a pay-to-play type of a platform. And if you're not taking advantage of Facebook ads and things like that, it's going to be harder. It's going to be trickier. So just like I'm doing, I encourage you guys to start looking more and more into social ads. So there are services like Facebook ads, Instagram marketing, LinkedIn promotional offers. And these are, again, these platforms are there in place to really get your name out there. And they do well. And the cost per conversion is really low right now. And 15-20 bucks will get you the leads and the customer and get your message to the target audience, something that you really couldn't do organically anymore. It's becoming much harder. So obviously make sure that when you present your ad to them via a social ad, make sure that it makes sense with an offer they absolutely can't turn down. Watch my video. Actually, I don't know if I released a video yet, but I will be releasing a video on how to use the value ladder model to get your message across the right way and to offer sales in a way that makes sense in a chronological sort of like step-by-step type of approach. And you'll certainly get your customers' attention over social media. Don't forget to add and use .com. About 90% of the top ranking marketers and businesses use .com as their domain. And if you promote your content through a .com domain, it will instantly get hit on Google, and will get Google will basically, your content will get indexed faster, and Google typically tends to favor .com domains over some other types of domain names. So consider getting a .com domain. Those of you guys that use some other platforms like ClickFunnels or Instapages and things like the lead pages to build out your customer journey, your funnels, make sure that you're also, making sure that you're hosting everything using your own domain name address, because it adds the trust factor, and it does, help in getting your message across. And if you are blogging, by all means, do your blogging from a WordPress blog. Set up your blog on WordPress. Other pages on your website can be on different platforms, but the blog itself needs to be on WordPress. And the reasons for that are too many, but primarily it's because Google loves WordPress, and that's the best way to do things if you are going for a long-term SEO type of strategy with your content marketing. So marketing has always been fun for me. And I also advise all my clients and fans to make it a marketing like a game. There are no hard and fast rules that that you can take in marketing, but there are always things that work better than other stuff. And so basically, the idea of all this is that when you do content marketing, just kind of summarize all of this and give like takeaways to people. Majority of the people are not going to be interested in listening to your entire presentation, reading your entire blog post, reading everything that you have to say. They're not going to watch your video all the way. But if you provide things in little takeaways and actionables, it's a lot easier for people to digest. And again, the reason for this is because there's just so much content out there. There's just so many things that's going on, and it's a lot easier to really get your message across to those people if you just give it to them in bite-sized pieces that they can actually digest quickly. Again, if you're blogging today, create long, detailed blog posts, not 500-word things, not some cheesy sales letters, but you need to thoroughly cover each topic. And the most important thing with blogs, again, is research, keyword research. If you don't know how to do keyword research, go on Fiverr, type in the word keyword research. There's this guy on Fiverr. His name is like Spencer, or underscore Spencer, something like that. He offers a gig where he does your research, keyword research for you. He charges you $5. And for $5, he will give you all the low-ranking keywords in that particular niche, and you can give him detailed. He'll give you a very detailed report on what's low, easy to rank for, and what's for videos and blogs and everything like that. I've used him for every one of my clients and all of my projects as well. This guy is really good, and if he says a keyword is easy to rank for, I've never found it to be hard to rank for. I'll just say that much. And charges you $5 for the service. So if you're not buying this to do your keyword research, I just have no empathy for you, because you need to do that. And if you know how to do it yourself, by all means, do keyword research yourself and just thoroughly answer each and every single question on that topic. So if you're teaching people how to do content marketing in 2018, try to think about all the different things they need to know. Make it super actionable, super relevant. Give them specific strategy that they can implement. So when they read the post and they shut their computer down, they can walk away from it and start applying that to their business and to their life right away. And if you write solid content of 3,000 words, 4,000 words, 5,000 words, even though it may be time consuming, even though it may be expensive if you're having a writer, I promise you that's so much better than launching little 500-word blog posts. If you're launching 500-word blog posts, might as well not blog at all, because it's not going to work. It's much better for you to write one blog post per month of 5,000 words than to write a single 500-word blog posts for like 30 days. That's how important long blog posts are. Google themselves say that if your blog post is not at least 2,000 words, it's not very likely that it'll even show up on page 1, top of the search engine. So consider and focus on getting long form, detailed blog posts that answer thoroughly each and every single question. And if you do that well, you don't even have to do a whole lot of link building, because you will generate links automatically. So yes, if you are using small posts, those should be really ads and sales letters and things like that. But if you're actually trying to get search engine traffic, definitely long form blog posts. So before you can start crafting your message, you need to understand your buyer persona, like who's your ideal customer. So you have your casual user here, John, and he does certain things. You got your business people out there like Michelle, who does specific target things. You have your power users like Jim, and he does a whole bunch of stuff. You need to figure out which of these 3 people you're trying to reach your message to, and they're going to have totally different income levels. They're going to have totally different personas, totally different things will resonate with them on an emotional level. There's differences in gender and how different genders, males versus females, how they interpret content. It just depends. But you need to really have a good understanding on buyer personas. You need to really understand who is your target audience, exactly what it is that they do. How can you reach that particular audience base? And never start writing content without analyzing your buyer persona. Understanding your niche and creating content with buyer persona in mind can do wonders for generating real strong traffic. So really get down nitty-gritty detail, understanding your buyer persona, interview them, give them surveys, talk to them over the phone, meet with them in person, and do whatever it takes to really pick their brain. Do this with at least 10, 15, 20 people and really get to know what is it that they actually will respond to and will actually buy and want to learn from you. One of the best ways you can really get your word out there on when you start out on blogging is by guest blogging. I do a ton of this. If you guys have been following me, I share my content on big name publications like Forbes, Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, BuzzFeed, business to community, startup grind, my own blog. I try to make sure that I'm leveraging all the traffic from all the different sources that I can, establishing my credibility by by publishing on these big name platforms. And that's something that I teach. And if you haven't looked into my course yet on how I can help you do that, by all means, shoot me a message. I would love to help you as well figure out how you can start writing for these big name publications as well. But guest blog posting is one of the best ways that you can do that, and you can build credibility, and you can also leverage the traffic from these other channels as well. So obviously, before you write your content, you want to plan it. So put an outline together. If you have a writer that you're using, make sure you get on a call with your writer, explain to them all the different strategies you want them to talk about, give them an outline, do whatever it takes to make the process easy for them. If you're writing the content yourself, make sure you do your research. Make sure that you don't teach them something that's not going to actually work. Don't use any link baits and things like that. Like don't create content that's actually not true. Make sure that you provide value. Make sure you write the content as if you were reading the article yourself about something that pain point that you're looking to solve. Think about content in that kind of way. If it's not solving the pain point of the person that you're writing it for, then ultimately what's the use of it? It's really not going to help you in the long run. Just make sure that your content is thoroughly helpful and it's going to help these people out. Sorry about these Skype messages that are popping up. I'm going to turn this thing off. Okay. I'm a huge believer in influencer marketing as well. Oops. And that's really what I built my entire company around. Like that is the service that I offer. And so if you're not leveraging influencers, then you're really, stalling your growth in a way. Because think about it, like how long will it take you to actually reach a large audience via doing all these things organically or even with paid means? It's going to take you a while for people to really trust you and your brand and to really connect with you and build that um, base of followers. But you can hack this process by reaching out to people that already have a large following and trying to figure out ways to partner with them and to get mentioned in their stuff and to come on videos with them and really like leverage their audience, like their email lists and their subscription base, their Facebook traffic, like their website traffic, whatever you can to associate your name with those people is going to help you tremendously in just basically like expediting your growth on the internet and your trust. And so connect with obviously big name influencers in your particular market. Start talking to them. But the best tip that I have is to make sure that you actually personally connect with them as a person, not just to leverage their network, but to connect with them and see how you can like provide a value to these people. Because if you can't help them out somehow, and if you're if it's not a win-win situation, there's not a whole lot, that's going to work. Like it has to be a win-win for both parties. And so try to figure out how you can create a value for them without, pitching them anything first. And just figure out like how can you get these people to work with you. The more influencers you have working with you as a partner, the quicker you're going to be able to build your brand, the more people are going to trust you. And obviously these people have huge influences, huge power. They're often wealthy as well. So in every way can you imagine, connecting with big name people and really building a personalized relationship with these people will certainly help you. If at all by any means you can meet them in person, please take the time to meet them in person and also get them on video chat with you so that you can connect on a face-to-face type of basis. So email marketing, that's a huge one. And you need to leverage emails because just like advertisements, think about it on the radio. When you hear an ad for the first time, do you take action? No. I think research shows that there's like I may be getting this wrong, just a disclaimer, but I think people need to be hit with the same message at least like 4 or 5 like times before they even take any kind of response or take it seriously. Email is the kind of same way. And with email, you don't want to just keep hitting them with the same message. You want to keep updating them with a story that you're kind of building, which is why I said it's so important for you to kind of share with them what you're learning on a daily basis and do this via email as well. So make sure that you're emailing out to these people. Make sure that you're providing value to them, and make short and simple headlines. Keep it neat with a little bit of info, and try to focus on personalization. Never send an email saying hi. I see big name players doing it. Like I get emails from Ty Lopez and Brian Dean and like these big name people. I don't understand how in the world they send me emails and they don't tell me my first name. It doesn't make any sense how they're doing this, but again, don't listen to them, because even though they're huge, it's just not a good idea. Try to personalize the emails. Personalization will obviously help you in getting responses and leave an image in your customer's mind of, they know that you care for them, that you reached out to them on a personal basis, even though you may be using some sort of email, some software that kind of fills in their first name. But even then, from a customer standpoint, this does help the personalization. And if you can personally write them emails, by all means, if you can afford to do that, do it. Literally write them an email yourself and send them video messages as well. That's something that people don't really use much, is that instead of just writing them an email, you can make a short video and send that to them. It'll personalize it more. And again, personalization doesn't cost a whole lot. Almost all the research point out towards email marketing, and studies show that 89% of businesses that find and generate leads through cold email marketing. So if 89% of people out there are doing it and you're not doing it, well, guess what? You can guess yourself. You're in the bottom like 11% of the people, and unless you have some other great way to reach these audiences, and you don't need to do any email, I mean, hey, by all means, do it. But in my case, and most business case, email marketing works for us, and you should consider it. Your email shouldn't be do's and don'ts and what you do. Instead, create something that your customers will want to click and read. So again, I talked about personalization of the email. Like, share your story, yes, but don't just try to educate strictly through emails. If you are going to do that, then refer them to a blog post that you created, but make sure it's something that they actually want to learn. If you're hitting them with messages that they don't care about, they're going to be quick to hit that spam button, and once they do, you're never going to get them back. So make sure that you're providing value, and that you're actually creating content in your email that will get them to click something and take them to a landing page or to a blog post where you can educate them further. Create series and parts to get more customers, just like I talked about before. Tell a story, have a video series, have a blog post series, whatever it is. This is something that I've always used and done. The results are enormous, like building content from Netflix seasons. Just like I'm doing with these videos, there's going to be a series of 100 videos like this that's going to come out. And again, as people watch this video, it just keeps them guessing what's coming next, right? So ultimately, it'll be put all together. It'll be all of them will be put in a course, from A to Z, that'll kind of teach people like exactly how I've used some of these tactics to build my own business, and how they can do the same thing, and the value of PR and personal branding and all these kind of things. And it just makes sense that you'd put together in a series rather than just having completely random one-off videos teaching people. Like sharing something in part today, leaving the ending with a twist to be continued. This gets your customers intrigued. They'll keep checking and talking about it in their social circles, and top marketers do this, and you can too. And give it away for free if you can afford to. And have paid content, paid versions of the stuff that's really, really the top of the notch stuff. So evergreen and trending content is obviously long-term investment. Content marketing is your long-term investment. If you top it with evergreen content, you're gonna be this is the best thing that you can do for your business in the long term. This will not only get you unconditional traffic, but will always help your blog to come up first. And what I mean by that is that Facebook ads, yes, you run these ads, you get a customer today, and you get your message out, but then that's it. But think about blog posts and video content. Like if you dominate YouTube and stuff, that's free people. That's just free people, and it's evergreen. Like if you turn off your ads tomorrow, your customers will stop. But if you don't post a blog tomorrow, well, guess what? All the previous ones that you posted still keep getting that traffic for you forever, for the most part. So just think about how powerful that is. It's like an evergreen type of way to really just keep getting consistent, sustainable, profitable traffic to your blog, to your landing page, to your social media. So really leverage it. This is obviously one of my first videos in this series. I want to clarify, it's not my first video on content marketing, but it is the first video on this series on content marketing. The second video should be coming out hopefully tomorrow. And if you want to get more insights on 2018 checklist, you'll have to come and see it in the second video. Meanwhile, shoot me a message, write me, and tell me how you're planning your content, what's working for you, what's not working for you. Any information that you can give me about your business and insights that you can give me will definitely help me in creating the next video, which I do want to target specifically for you. And I'll actually use your particular examples and things like that in my videos to kind of exemplify like what works and what doesn't work. Ultimately, it's all a community. We're all here to help each other out. So why not share what we're each finding out so we can make it easy for the next person in line that's trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do. That's the ultimate point of content marketing. And that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation. And if you liked it, shoot me a message and let me know, hey, Rafi, these videos are helping me and I think I am learning something. Please keep making more. This will only encourage me to make sure that I continue on my journey on creating 100 of these videos for you guys. And if there are any particular topics you want me to talk about, by all means, let me know in the comments. Let me know just by shooting me a personalized message to my Facebook or email me, whatever. And let me know what you guys want me to create the next one on. I'll certainly keep your, take your topic consideration into consideration, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much, guys.